Today on TFB TV, I want to go over concealed carry while long distance hiking. Now, my definition in this context of long distance hiking is anything over 100 miles or over a week long. If you're going out for a day trip or just going out for a walk in the woods or maybe an overnight or a weekend sort of thing, this might apply to you and it might not apply to you. But for, stuff like a day trip or a weekend or an overnight, you can use inside the waistband, concealed carry. Anything you do in your daily carry is applicable to an overnight, weekend, or day trip sort of hike. The kind of concealed carry I'm talking about here is a long distance hike, which is 100 miles plus or a week long. So for my personal experience, I hiked the Ice Age Trail in Wisconsin this summer, and that is a 1,200 mile long through hike. And I hiked it with a buddy from the western terminus in St. Croix Falls to the eastern terminus on Lake Michigan in Sturgeon Bay. So I concealed carried the entire time, and I learned a number of important things that we'd have to take into consideration when looking at concealed carry on a long distance hike. One of the biggest things that I learned is handgun placement. Now, if you're hiking every single day and you're sleeping out in the woods and you're going through layers and layers of clothing, if you're sweating through stuff, you're hot, you're cold, whatever it is, a typical concealed carry position will probably not work as well, such as an inside the waistband, an outside the waistband, or a spandex shirt with a handgun in it, or even a ankle holster as well. The reason why these don't work is because you're sweating so much, you really don't even want to have a solid belt on. I mean, me and my buddy, we didn't even wear belts for this time. We wore, gym shorts while we were hiking because you're just going through that much sweat and you're moving that much as well. A belt or traditional clothing is going to cause rash in these situations. You really want to have gear that's more appropriate to walking every day, such as loose-fitting gym clothing or loose-fitting clothing as well. These also won't work because you're probably going to have a backpack on. And if you have a backpack on, you're probably going to be wanting to use a waist belt as well. On your waist belt, it's going to be around your hips. And on your hips is going to be your inside the waistband handgun, right? So with that being said, an inside the waistband handgun or an outside the waistband one with backpack hip straps on, waist straps on, is not going to be very comfortable after a while. Things are going to rub, friction is going to get you, and you're absolutely going to go down because of friction. And I tell you, friction really is a killer on these long distance hikes. What do you do? Well, my solution to this was placing a handgun in a concealed carry pouch on your waist strap of your backpack. The reason why I went this route is because, one, it was accessible while I was wearing the pack. Two, it was concealed carried because I had a number of different pouches on that waist belt and I had it in there and no one else could really see what was in there. Now, granted, I had a very improvised kind of pouch and really it was a tan Molly Marine Corps issued sort of thing. So in the future, I'd really want to get a different kind of pouch for this. And this worked well about 90% of the time. However, the 10% of the time, which I wish I would have had something else, is whenever you stop on a long distance hike. Say you're going to stop in a town, say you're going to stop at a campsite, say you're going to stop at a Wayfair kind of thing. You're going to want to take your pack off and you're going to want to go into a gas station, buy some food, buy some treats, You're going to want to take that pack off as much as possible and get it off your back. What do you do with the firearm at this point? Well, what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to transfer this firearm to something and then move on, because I really don't recommend keeping a firearm in a pack that you're not attending. In addition, it kind of defeats the whole point of self-defense in that if the gun isn't on you, it might as well be in Mars if some horrible thing happens. Honestly, if I were to do this whole thing again, I'd really want to bring a fanny pack and have that strapped around on my waistband. Because with a fanny pack, I can take a fanny pack off and I can bring all sorts of other charging accessories into, say, a restaurant. Say we're stopping in a McDonald's. I want to charge my phone. I want to look at the map of the route. I want to eat some snacks, or I want to load up on snacks in the McDonald's or whatever. I'd want to bring a fanny pack in. And indeed, I did bring a little pouch in wherever I stopped on the trail in Wisconsin, in that I bought a waterproof container, and every time I stopped somewhere, I would take the handgun out of the pouch that I had on the waistband, and I would put it in this bag along with my charger and everything, and I would conceal carry along with my wallet, and I would take that in as well, And that's how I would conceal carry while separated from my pack. Of course, in a lot of places you can't bring your pack into, say, a gas station or a restaurant or that sort of thing. It's not going to work out. They don't allow packs in there. It's just bulky. How are you going to bring your pack into a men's restroom? That sort of thing. You don't really want to do that. Some of the problems that you have with this is a big problem I had with my handgun on the hike, which, by the way, was a Smith & Wesson M&P Shield in 9mm. The biggest problem I had with it was moisture getting to the rust, or when it rained, the handgun would get wet, and then especially around the barrel, towards the muzzle, and towards the top of the slide, it got a little rusty in some places. So this is something you're going to have to watch out for. Maybe once a week or every couple of weeks, you want to take it out, field strip it, function check it, make sure it's still working, but more importantly, try to apply, say you get to an auto shop nearby, ask for, some lubricant or some rust preventative mixture that you can put on the handgun to keep it from rusting like this, because you're really going to want to take care of this throughout the hike. You don't really want to go on a long distance hike and have your firearm rust up on you. The worst case scenario is that it could end up not functioning because of how bad it's gotten. Best case scenario is you ruined a perfectly good firearm. As for holster choices, I would definitely recommend having some kind of holster that encloses the trigger guard. What I had was a small Kydex piece that entrapped the trigger guard and didn't allow the trigger to be pressed or functioned while the firearm was concealed carried. You could bring a bigger Kydex holster, you could bring, a leather holster. However, when you're hiking, and especially when you're long distance hiking, ounces equals pounds and pounds equal pain. You want to try to minimize the amount of weight that you take on this hike, because you're literally fighting for every gram and every ounce in your pack. Honestly, the biggest threat levels we had were from people and people's dogs, in an extension of people. I mean, the closest we ever came to actually being physically harmed by another animal on the hike was when farmers' dogs would run directly up at us and we would try to swipe them away with our walking sticks. I did not have to pull out my handgun once during the 3 months expedition. Did not even have to come very close. Really, the only close calls we had were with those farmers' dogs, and those were very easily warded off with hiking sticks. Thank you very much for watching this episode of TFB TV. We'd like to give a shout out to Proxibid. They are an online firearms and gear auction site that supports our channel, and we definitely want to keep the channel going. So while you're at it, give them a click and see what they're all about. Thank you very much.